Hi everyone, today I thought I'd show you how I add people into renders. So last week I showed you this image, and this is the image that it started with, and as you can see, people really start to liven up and make a space feel like an actual space. You can start to see some of the or get a sense of scale from having people in a render. So we'll start with this here. A website I use to get people is a website called Non-Scandinavia. I'll leave the link in the description of the video. But it's super nice. They have sort of the image traced style people that you would get off of a program like Illustrator, as well as they have the same images in silhouettes. And if you click here, you can actually get the actual original images. So I like to use this cutouts one. And since we have these lovely people in the first render, we'll just copy those guys, put them in this one as well. So we're going to get a new layer here and paste these guys in. We'll get them sort of set up. So I'm actually going to create a new group, and we'll call it people, because I'm going to add a few people in just to show, and we'll bring her up into here. So now you can see that layer 1, which we'll call woman and child, is now in this folder. So first of all, we want to make this a little bigger, so we'll do Control T again to bring up our transform window, and then just drag a corner to make it a little bit bigger, maybe about there. Double click to get out of it, and we're all set. So normally I like to, as you know in the last video, advocate for using masks, but since I know I'm never going to need this black background behind these two, I'm just going to go ahead and use the wand tool, which is W on the keyboard, and get rid of the background on that, and then Control D to get rid of your selection. So now I have some people, which super quick, super easy to get in, but there's a few things you can do to take it a little further. So let's place her right about here, and what we can do, so obviously everything in this image already has a shadow, which is super nice, but these people do not, so it looks a bit odd. So what we can do is just copy her, so Control C and Control V, and we get the exact same image, which is nice. So we'll actually put this one below. We still want it in here though. There we go. So we'll call this one woman and child shadow. So now what we can do, what I like to do anyways, is go to image, adjustments, and the levels, and then if you slide this one out of the way, it turns everything to black. So now what we can do is use some of those transform tools again, Control T, and then right click, and let's actually do, well, I want to rotate her a bit first, and then I'm going to flip this. Try this first. So the trick with shadows is to just kind of play with it until, I don't want to change the size too much. Play with it until sort of looks correct. So some of the best tools are going to be, in my opinion, distort and skew. So distort, you can see you can kind of manipulate where things are. I'm going to try to keep it looking as normal as possible. So let's do, there's a few things you can do to sort of make shadows look a bit better than they actually are. I'll show you a few of the tricks that I use. So if we just go like that, that looks pretty good for now. But you can see obviously these shadows over here are not 100% black, so what we can do is go to opacity over here and start by getting it close. It doesn't have to be perfect, but let's do maybe like that. That looks pretty good. That matches pretty well, even though it is much harder edge than some of these over here, which we can take care of. Actually, let's turn this up just a bit. Okay. So, again, once you get it close, there's a few things you can do. So if you go in and use a brush, let's turn the size down a bit and get this color. So you can kind of just color, oops, that's not the right color. Oh, it's because I'm on, okay. Well, that's fine. So we can create a new layer here and we'll call this adjustments. So then we can come in and sort of just kind of paint underneath her. Actually, let's try to make this look a little bit better. We'll go like that for now. Actually, erase just a bit of her in the middle. See if some contrast. So that's part of the process, is just trying to make everything look as real as possible as far as where shadows would be and how they sort of align. So you can see, you can kind of just go back through and add where there would actually be some shadows that aren't showing up necessarily. So anyways, that's close enough. Her shadow doesn't look fantastic, but sort of get the idea of how to do this. So once we're happy with sort of the adjustments that we've made, what we can do is merge these layers together, which so now those two layers are both in the same one. I'm going to go back and call this shadow again, just so we don't lose it. And so you'll see that the main light source of this image is coming from the right side over here, and there is another light source under the cabinets. So something that you can do to make both of these light sources work is if you go to shadow, add a mask, and we'll go to brush, get a little bit bigger, and we want a really, really soft round brush to match this light here. So now if we just so if we click here, hold shift, it'll give us a nice straight line. So then we can kind of work back and forth, and you can see I'm just sort of fading out this image. We'll actually go back a couple and turn the opacity down just a bit. That way it doesn't fade out too quickly. Another thing I like to do is turn it way down and kind of just go over the whole thing. I might not be down far enough. Go to 10%. Just kind of go over the edge, maybe a little bit softer, until it matches with the shadows that are actually in there. And there you go. So obviously adding people and shadows will really help a render out. Another thing I like to do, one last thing, is I actually like to turn the opacity of the people down as well, maybe to like 65%. That way they're still in the render, but they're not taking the main focus of it. Because again, they're just sort of in there to add scale and liven up the scene a bit. But yeah, so that's how I add in people. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And that's all I got for you today.